lovelies. I hope you're having a better day than I am. I have ADHD and bipolar. I had second thoughts about making this video because I got into a huge argument today, and I want this just to be a footnote. And I was made fun of, basically, for having this, I was called a nut job, and just nasty. Okay, what it's like to have ADHD. Let's start out with that one. ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. I'm sure some of you lovely people have heard of ADD, Attention Deficit Disorder, where it's really hard for people to concentrate. And this is especially in children. ADHD is ADD's bigger, meaner brother. So not only are you hard to concentrate, you're also constantly hyper. Not so much as an adult. This is more like, well, at least for me, it's more for as when I was a kid. My mother swore that I ran up walls. I was really hyper kid. And that sucked because there was this kind of myth back in ye old 90s. ADHD kids couldn't have sugar or caffeine because it would make them even more hyper. A lot of times, when I was a kid, I took medication for this. A lot of times this medication made me into a zombie. I took Ritalin when I was little, but I would shove it into the vents. I didn't like it. We lived in this house where they had, would it be called central heating? Is central heating the ones where they got vents in the floor? But I'd take my Ritalin and I'd shove it into the vents. I didn't like taking them. Okay, so also another thing about ADHD, besides it being really hard to concentrate, I really, besides that, yeah. As an adult, I'm not so much hyper, and this is the thing that it can get really, ADHD can really get, well, ADHD and bipolar, they can have some of the same, effects. I'm trying to look for the word. This is another thing with ADHD. You have a really hard time having things come out right. Or at least I do. You probably noticed in my gaming videos that I have trouble sometimes picking the right words, and sometimes I take a really long time picking the right words to say. And I say, okay, so a lot. It's symptoms. There's the word I want to look for. Some of the symptoms are, that they're very similar between ADHD. Some of them, not all of them, between ADHD and bipolar. And I will get into bipolar, but right now I'm trying to give ADHD the time it needs, or I feel it deserves. ADHD, as I find with an adult, like I said, I'm not as hyper. This might be a bit more like a personal flaw where I procrastinate. It's Here's another one of the shared. I'm not an absolute expert. This is what I've heard and how I experience life. And trust me, with my ADHD, I don't have. I couldn't get through a website that talks about it. I've seen some of it. I've had help for this in the past, so I'm not a novice to this, to what I have. And yet again, I'm sorry for how dark this video is. Here, let me try to see if I can. Is that a little bit better? And now you totally cannot see me. Adult, it's harder to concentrate, have a clear, concise conversation sometimes. One of the really things that are really, really awkward is when you blurt out. I'll refer to you. I should refer to I. When I'll use you as an example. It's the way I talk. Let's say you, as a person have ADHD, you're in a conversation with someone and you try to get a sentence out and it doesn't come out right. Or you might say a word that is actually considered offensive. And you really, really don't try to sound offensive. So it's hard talking, at least in my experience. I don't know if this is all for a lot of ADHD people. A lot of speech difficulties. And I don't mean like of actual speech impediments. I mean, well, I've already explained. I don't need to explain more. So a lot of times blurting out things before thinking about them. And sometimes it really thing I struggle with is, one, staying on point. Two is trying to get my words, my point across. Bipolar is a beast, a monster. It's a monster of. It's not a syndrome. It's not a disease. It's just. It's a monster, basically. With bipolar is basically, as far as I've understood, a chemical imbalance. All I know is it sometimes it's hell on earth. With bipolar, you have mood swings. They have a certain word for this, but it's kind of like being on a roller coaster. You have lows and you have highs that you have absolutely no control over. Normal people, they get sad for a reason, like your dog died or you know, something bad happened in your life. With bipolar, it's you're low because it's Tuesday, and that's just the way your brain decides to be. And I'm sure quite a lot of people, if they've heard of bipolar, they know that it has to do with a lot with emotions. You have highs where you just my phone's going off. Where you have highs where you just feel like you're on top of the world, nothing is wrong, you can handle everything. And then the lows are just so crushing, where well, for me, it feels like I don't have the right to be here. Now, I'm not talking about suicidal. Okay, don't worry about that. Okay, that's just how low I've gotten before. Especially last year, I went through a mental breakdown. Now then, that was really scary. I've never ever been so low, and that low lasted. Let's see. Did it start November of 2015? No. It started in January of 2016. And I didn't get through it. I didn't start going back up until it was definitely summer. I think around August, my birthday. I didn't get out of it and start and feel normal until then. Okay, well, I'll talk more about my mental breakdown at the end of the video. A lot of people don't know is bipolar also affects how you sleep, how you eat, your energy level. Like, okay, for a high, sometimes when I'm on a high, I don't eat as much. I don't sleep as much. And I have an insane amount of energy. If I'm on a high, like last time I was on a high, like high point where I'm really feeling really good. Like, just, you know, like, trying to describe it. Let's go with good old CSI. No, it's not sericidal. Very first episode CSI. I cannot remember the character's name. If after you solve the case you don't feel like King Kong on cocaine, then you quit. Well, with bipolar on a high, you feel like King Kong on cocaine. Like I said, when you're King Kong, I probably shouldn't have made a drug reference. Don't do drugs. Anyway, when you're King Kong, you feel like, well, you feel like King Kong. Okay, get to the, okay. Don't eat as much, don't sleep as much, and the last time, see, I'm getting back to the point. The last time I was on a high, I started cleaning house at, well, it was after midnight. I was quiet. I stayed up majority of the night cleaning. And when you're really low, I know I should be referring to I, but I'm just trying to explain as if you had it. When you're really low, you sleep more. You have literally no energy to do the simplest of things, like even, I know this is gross, but bathing and cleaning the house, and there's just a lack of interest. A lot of sleep, low energy. I tend to eat more when I'm at a low, and just no interest, no enjoyment from things. It's like, well, basically it is, I guess it is depression, or it's like depression. I'm not a psychiatrist or a therapist. Anyway, as I say, just a lack, and to versus a high, some things people would find boring, I find it's just this take enjoyment out of everything. And it's a pain in the butt living with this, especially if you're right now. I'm not on medication for the ADHD or bipolar, and I'll tell you why. I'm sure all of you know about this healthcare thing with whether people will have it or not. I'm not even considered to be like a middle class person. I'm on the lower income person, you know. So if this bill passes, uh, I'll lose insurance. When I was a teenager, well, also when I was a kid, all the way up until I was 18 and a half, I was getting help for these things. I was diagnosed with bipolar, I think, when I was 15. And I was on medication for it. And then when I turned 18 and a half, all insurance got yanked away from me. And the bipolar medication I was on, you needed to be weaned off of it. Or I needed to be weaned off of it. And I wasn't, and I went through it was really, really painful. I don't want to go through that experience again. And I know a lot of people will not agree with that. Well, no matter what, you need to go get help. Okay, so back to bipolar. There's also, you know, here's some things I do not suffer from that I've heard or I've read somewhere that bipolar people can suffer from. Hallucinations. I don't suffer from hallucinations. Another thing is that they can get really irritable and angry and violent. I'm not really, despite what happened today with me getting in a yelling match with a neighbor, I'm not a violent person. I don't beat up and damage things. That's not me. I'm more on the naturally timid side. I'm not the type of person to be very confrontational, but if I'm pushed, I am. Okay, so it's pretty much all right now. I'm sure I'll make another video about this. Like I said, some of you probably will not agree with my decision not to have medication, not to be seeking help for it right now. Well, it's my mental health and my decision. Right now, I feel that I've got enough of control. Well, there's not really any control with it, but I can cope with it enough that I don't need it. That isn't. I'm not one of those. I'm not gonna. I feel a lot of times when you tell somebody that you've got a mental health thing, that they think, oh, well, and if you're not taking care of it, that, oh, you're going to turn into one of these people, they're going to go out somewhere and shoot up the place. No. No, 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 no. Just because somebody has bipolar does not mean they're going to turn into some sort of mass shooter. Okay, so to my mental breakdown last year, like I said, it started in January, and it didn't end until August. It was really, 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 I've never been so low before. I got so upset that my feet would tingle and they'd go numb. That was how upset I was, and I hardly got any sleep. And basically what I've learned from my mental breakdown, either it was a mental breakdown or nervous breakdown, whatever, is well, part of it was caused by me getting upset from other people. Not nasty neighbor. She had nothing to do with it. She didn't help, but she was not the one person who stressed me out to the point where I kind of broke. What I've learned from it is not to let people get you that upset. Not something I've fully mastered, obviously, from today. Okay, I swear I was going to talk about something else besides being upset. I just, another thing that was with my mental breakdown, or my nervous breakdown, the time I was really, really low. I didn't want to go out anywhere. I didn't want to talk to people. It just felt like if I had interaction with another person, it would crush my soul, basically. And I think that is it. Like I said, a lot of people will not agree and think that I'm making the wrong decision to not have help with it. But like I said, that it's not their cross to bear, you know, basically. If you feel like it's way out of control, your mental health problem, go go seek help. Like, it was kind of dumb of me not to go seek help when I was in my really deepest low. But it just felt like if I talked to another person even about it, like I was gonna physically break. I mean, like, literally, my body would break. I know that's kind of giving an excuse to why I didn't go. But I did get out of it. I'm doing well. Besides being bummed out with what happened today, I'm doing good. I'm not. I'm just doing good. Okay, well, hopefully this was not too serious for you folks, for my lovelies. I hope this certainly helped to inform some people about it, about ADHD and bipolar. Get it out, Nicole, get it out. I certainly don't think this would make anybody's day brighter. I don't know, it might have. I hope it's not ruined your day. How about that? We'll set the lowest bar possible for this video. Okay, guys. Okay, my lovelies. I need to get it. Stop saying guys. You're not all dudes. I need to get in the rhythm. I know I say that every time. Okay, my lovelies. Please leave a like and subscribe. Bye-bye.